Make sure you watch this whole video because I did make a mistake initially when I was putting in the fuse connector. Make sure to watch it so you don't screw up like I did initially and my halo would not turn off, but now my halo does. Yay for me! I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's working. Today I'm going to work on installing new turn signals on my JK. They do have a halo light on it. That's what you see the yellow wire for. And then they have a direct connect for the actual center light or the turn signal light. So it's a plug and go other than the halo. So I'm going to take you along with me to wiring up the halo. Really the rest of it's just, plug and play. So that's pretty simple. But I think this is what probably stumps most people is when they get to the halo light. So let's figure it out. I don't know if I know exactly what I'm doing, but I have a pretty good idea. So I'll take you along and hopefully it all works out in the end. So let's do this. Well, these directions are not super helpful. It's just showing that the yellow wire needs to plug into that fuse, which just is the ACC fuse, but it doesn't tell you which fuse that actually is other than the picture pointing at it. So let me kind of show you what I would do to find the auxiliary fuse in a JK. And they even have at least they showed the tweezers right here. But you could count it, or you could look at this image and kind of guesstimate which one it is, but I'll show you the proper way to do it. Now, when doing any electrical work, I do recommend disconnecting your battery. So let's go ahead and disconnect this. I know this is sweet footage watching me undo the battery. My battery nut is a 10 millimeter, so I just take it off. Usually what I'll do is I'll get something to prop underneath this so I don't accidentally get connection. Once you have the bolt loose, you just pop it up. And then I usually take a tape roll of some kind, just put it around the connector. The thing that sucks about this is I'm now gonna have to reprogram all my radio stations and my clock in my Jeep. That's the downfall. But again, safety first. Now to open up your fuse box, there's two latches, one here and one there. You just push both those in, it lifts open. Inside your fuse box, right back here, it should be included a fuse remover, which is very helpful. And you'll see right here is the diagram to know which one is what. This one right here, that's M7. M7 is the one that I'm gonna need to plug into to get the new lights or the new halo plugged in, because you have to think about it. When you turn your key and you have accessory on, all the power is going to those electronics in your vehicle. So if you plug into this, when you turn on your car, it's going to turn on the halo to be like a daytime running light. So that is what I'm going to be tapping into to do that. At least that's what I think. I'm no expert, guys. Let me run through what you need to be able to do this. I got my two replacement turn signals, 10 amp fuses, connectors that I'm going to put into the fuse box. I had to get some new wire strippers because I seem to have lost mine. Zip ties. I got some 18 gauge wire to run the wiring. And I bought some of the protector for the wire because it's running through the engine, so I don't want to, melt it or anything like that. So my yellow wire will be going into this. That'll be plugging into that M7 slot. The fuse that was on the M7 slot is going to go into these bottom two holes. And then my 10 amp that's going to be feeding the halo light is going to be going into this one, the top one. And so the top fuse will feed this line, which again will run to the halo turn signal light. And then this one will just run the accessories as normal. Battery's disconnected. I got the fuse remover from the box. So I'm just going to pull the 20 amp out. Then I'm going to come over to my new connection. And I need to get the 20 amp fuse into that bottom slot. Just like that. So on the top part, I have my 10 amp fuse. And I'm just going to slide that into the top. It's kind of snug getting it in there, but should fit perfectly, just like so. And so now that I have both fuses, I can then plug the adapter into the M7 spot, and then I have the cord. The next thing I need to do is get it out of the box. So the way I'm thinking, I think if I drill a hole below the lip of this, I should be able to slide this right out and then connect it. All right, so I'm gonna remove the grill to get to the old lights real quick. And there is a series of 6 pop tabs here. And once you have these tabs out, the grill just has some spring-loaded fasteners that come right off. So when I pop this off, the fog lights will be connected. So I just have to disconnect them. And it takes a little work to pop off those little metal fasteners. And then at that point, it's just a matter of sliding those off, and there's the grill. Boom. And then once you have the grill off and the lights disconnected, you'll see the entire light here, which makes it really easy to get to the harness. There's a red clip you gotta slide up. So just take a flathead screwdriver, push it up. Tab you gotta push down too. And then boom. So again, you slide it back, you push down the tab, it comes right off. And then from there, you'll take your new light and plug it up. And if I go turn on the vehicle, we should see those come on. So there's the new blinker. And so then I just gotta get the halo hooked up, which I kind of want to test it real quick. All right, so here's how I'm gonna test it real quick. I'm just gonna run the 18 gauge wire over and back. So that way I can see if the halo light is working properly. And so to connect the two here, what I'm gonna do on this one is I'm just gonna use a wire nut on it just to hold it temporarily. And then from there, I am gonna run the other end of the 18 gauge up to the fuse box to see if all is well. So here's the other end. So I'm gonna go turn it on real quick to the on position. Okay, so the light is blinking. So then I'm gonna take the 18 gauge wire and just stick it in the end of this. And then go back down here. There's the halo light. If I go turn off the blinker, the halo light should stay on. Boom. So at this point, it's now the wiring for both. Which I'll kind of take you through that. So as of right now on the first test, everything looks to be working properly. I'm gonna go ahead and pop out these old headlamps. Now, I'm not gonna get rid of them just in case for some reason one of these other ones stops working. I'll have a replacement then. But you should just plug right into the old spot without much effort at all. And there you go. They're both installed at this point. So really, all I have left to do is the wiring. So let's do it. This is gonna have to splice into 2 separate lines to be able to feed both sides of the light here and right down there. So I gotta say, those rails, man, they've been holding up great. They look awesome. So if you haven't seen the video on me picking these up and refurbing them, check it out. They look great. Show me some love. Hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna work on splicing this. All right, so I'm prepping these wires. Definitely gonna give myself extra length on them, just because I don't wanna run short on any of it. So first step is to prepare the wire. So this is the first end. This will be the closest fog lamp to where I'll be at. And this wire, I mean, that's a long wire right there. It's probably good 8 feet. I only got to run it about 4. And then same thing with this other one, except I'm not even going to cut the wire shorter. I'm just going to leave this the full length. And then I need to go now attach it to the fuse box. I got a drill bit to drill a hole in the side of the box to get this wire to come out. In doing this, you gotta be really careful because you obviously don't want to drill into the fuses that are in here. I don't have quite enough space to come this way, so I'm gonna have to come straight in here the best I can. So I'm gonna have to lift this battery plug up and just try to get myself as low as I can. And I've already marked it, so I know this is about the spot I need to be. And there it goes. So the fuse is out. And so what I'll do is I'll hit this up with some caulking just to make sure it's a tight seal on that fuse box. There's the hole, and it's right below. You can see when the fuse box shuts. And then on this side you can see it came out where there are currently no fuses. So if I had to get other fuses in here, I could work this wire probably to get the other fuses in those 2 spots, but as of right now, I don't run anything there. So now that I have this here, I can now worry about connecting the light wires to it. All right, so here are the 2 wires. What I did is I twisted them together and then wrapped some electrical tape pretty close to where the connection will be, just to make sure these 2 wires want to stay together almost as one wire. So from there, I'm gonna take both wires and I'm gonna shove them into the connector and make sure that I get it in there nice and snug. And then from there, all I need to do is crimp down the side real tight. And I just need to make sure the wires don't pull out. Now, before I run these all the way up to the front, it's probably a good idea to test the light one more time, just to make sure everything's connected correctly. All right, so what I've done is I've chased down the shorter of the 2 wires that I've spliced there, and just make sure that all the wiring that I did up in the box is correct. So I just need to use my wire nut to connect these 2 together. And then I need to plug in the power to the actual light real fast. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna turn on the vehicle again and just check to make sure that the halo light is running and the turn signal light is working correctly before I run all this wire through the vehicle. So current status update, the wires are all hooked up. They've been spliced coming out of the box. I've drilled a hole to get it out. I'll have to put some caulking here to make sure no water's getting in there. This first wire, I've temporarily connected it with a wire nut to this just to make sure the halo lights work. Time to go run the test. Let's see what happens. How do I always lose my keys? All right, so far so perfect. The light is on. The turn signal light's working perfectly. All right, so I got the light on, but it won't turn off. And I realized I didn't do something. So let me show you what I didn't do. Inside the fuse box, I plugged it back into the slot that it was in. But what you have to do with this is you have to, you see how there's 3 slots here that it could go into? You have to put it on the last 2 slots here, which then will give you the ability that it turns on and off with the car. So make sure you slide that over, push it down, and then if I come back down here, you'll notice it's off. The second you turn the car to the on position, it'll come on. And so there's the blinker and daytime running light. When I turn off the power, you'll notice that it turns off. So I've been putting tape on here, just try to keep the wires together. But at this point, it's time to start putting in the plastic sleeve and figuring out how I'm gonna run this up to the front. It's probably like putting the casing on a hot dog, kinda, but similar idea. Well, maybe not really similar. I'm not trying to cook my wire. I did go with a 3/8 because eventually I think I'll end up switching the headlights out to the halo. And so I'm gonna need a, the space to run 2 more wires to the front. All right, so I have the plastic sleeve on. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run the wire down this edge and then take it down underneath the air intake. And then if you look, if I put a flashlight here, there's a slight opening right through there that I'll be able to run it straight down here. So it's actually gonna be fairly easy to get it in there. Other than that, let's start feeding the wire through. All right, to help support this wire a little bit, I'm gonna attach it to this existing wire. And so I'm just gonna use one of the zip ties and zip it on there, which should keep it in a good position coming out of this fuse box. So not too tight, but snug. And so at this point, I'll just have to, like I said, put a bunch of caulking right there. So the wire feeds here, and then I have it zip tied here. And then the tension along the edge here is enough to hold the wire as it comes out down here. And you'll see I have my protector, which I'll have to trim down, and then my two wires. One wire will stay here at this harness, and then the other one is gonna run something like this down the front, and then pop out over here and connect to this one. I think I'm gonna tape the harness and the initial wire that's coming down together. And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back out the wire that's going to the other side, just above where this harness is, because this wire is gonna have to run to the driver's side. I think I can cut the protective case over this other one. So I'm gonna cut it right here. All I need to do really is hook up the other wire to it, and then I should be good. I'm gonna give myself a little more extra on here than I normally would. I'll just tape it, probably to this, just in case I have to redo this wire for some reason. Strip the wire. Twist it. All right, so the next thing, I'm going to take some of this extra and just tape it up. This side is ready. So now I need to get this wire over to this other side. All right, let's figure that out. All right, it's all taped up and ready to be fed through over to this side. So I just need to figure out how I'm gonna run it from over here to over here. And then once I have that wire there, it's just a matter of wiring it up to the new turn signal lights and I should be good to go. So I managed to find a small opening through here that would let me pop out right here by the radiator and kind of follow these existing lines, and then I'll come into the light the exact same way I came in over here, which is pretty nice. That's pretty convenient. So it's actually a really easy run. So what I'm gonna do on this part is just zip tie this to the existing line that's already up here. Follow what the factory did to begin with. Seems like a good plan to me. All right, so what I'm gonna do is feed this wire back through that opening, just like so, and then kind of hopefully work it right back down there to the light. Just like that. Like a glove, folks, like a glove. I am there. So, see if I can find something to zip tie. Up and out of the way. Right here is the turn signal harness, and here's the wiring from the other side. So I'm gonna do what I did with the other one, and I'm gonna tape these two together to start. I need to trim this one down. So here is the And so I'm gonna take it off here around where the other one is. So I just need to be careful not to cut the other wire. So it's right there. I don't need a ton of wire. So I'm gonna give myself some extra like I did on the other side just in case. And then snip. And go ahead and strip this side down. Give it a twist. Just like that, I am now ready to wire up the lights. In preparation to get this attached to the other side, I am going to put it into these watertight connectors. So you just take your crimping tool and you crimp it down, and you just don't want that wire to be moving on you. So secure. So that one's ready. And then I'll do the other one real quick. So just slide it on and then crimp. Again, the goal is you just don't want the wire coming out. So if I pull, so I'm gonna start with the halo light. We'll connect that one up first. And so once you have it on there, you just crimp it on there. And then that one shouldn't get out. And then comes my favorite part, which you could use a heat gun, but I'm gonna use a good old lighter again. And so with plastic gloves on, you just wanna be cautious of that. And obviously be aware of where you are around your car. And this is just to make sure that no water gets in there and corrodes it. At this point, that one's done. I'll give that one a few minutes to dry, and then I'm gonna go over do the other one real quick. So I do the same thing I did on the other side. We'll put the halo light wire in first for daytime running. And then once I have it on there, I'm just gonna crimp it down. 1 and 2. And just make sure that wire's not gonna budge, and it's not. And then once I have it there, again, pay attention. I got gloves on to keep my hands from getting real dirty. And then, you know, you just wanna be cautious of what you're putting a lighter by when you're playing by a car. You just wanna make sure it's good and sealed off, and that should be it. So I'm just gonna throw some electrical tape on these and then plug it up, and it should be done. Take the harness and hook it back up, so that's not going anywhere. And because I do have some electric or extra wire here, I'll probably put a piece of tape right there just to not have extra wire flinging around when I'm driving. Let's go ahead and fasten the harness. So that's locked into place. And then let's clean up some of this loose wire. Now that I have these both secured, it's just a matter of putting the grill back on. And you just gotta find those spots where they pop in at the bottom here. Once you have those all in, it's just a matter of putting the top locking pins back in. So refasten the grill at the top. And then let's give it a test. Yes! Yes, it worked! So right now, they're on when they're supposed to be, which is great. So that's my daytime running light. And then let's try the blinkers real quick. I'm gonna go right side then left side, let's see. Perfect. Well, let's try the other side. And perfect. And then let's see what happens when I turn off the key. Perfect. I did it. I freaking did it. Yeah! As you can tell, I'm a little pumped up right now. All right, so now I need to go take care of the caulking real quick on the fuse box, and then this job is done. All right, let's just caulk this shut real fast. So you can see the dab of caulking, and it comes through a little bit onto this side, which is perfectly fine. It didn't go into any of those connections or anything like that, so I just need to let that harden up overnight and this should be all set. So time to close up shop. And again, you can kind of see how that goes just below the fuse box lip. Hey, remember, I'm no expert, just somebody that tries. You know, obviously in doing stuff myself, I inherit some level of risk. I do feel comfortable doing it, but who knows, man, you could accidentally drill a hole into your fuse box stuff. So you gotta be careful when you're doing it. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. Take it in and have someone else do it. So it's not recommended for everybody. Do it at your own risk. If you like what I'm up to, make sure to subscribe. Hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. A lot of you guys haven't subscribed yet, so I appreciate all the subscribers I do have. If you like what I'm doing, show me some love. Other than that, Suburbia Dad out.